What's going on, everybody? This is Darian Jones of Honor Kings and Sons TV podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on this beautiful day. For those of you who are new to the podcast, you can follow me on different social media platforms. If you just type in Honor Kings and Sons, you'll be able to find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. I actually have two YouTube channels. My first YouTube channel is at DJonesHKS. That's actually my entertainment page. I like to put funny videos up and do different reactions just to give you a laugh for the day. And then my second page is actually where I put my content for my podcast. So my audio clips go there. I'm trying to get some more in-person clips going on that YouTube channel. So definitely you guys can, check it out as well. I would love if you guys tune into other episodes. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. My goal is to reach 500 subscribers before the year is out. And, it would be great to have more. But I appreciate everybody tuning in to the podcast today. Also, I have my Discord channel. I add the Discord link to every episode. It's in the description. These topics, a lot of times, even with the time that I give to share what's on my heart, some people would love to just expound on the topic. I know I'm one of those individuals. I just always want to be able to get a little bit more. So I would love for people to join my Discord so I can be able to shed more light and even get your take, your perspective on the topic. And we can just be able to dialogue and fellowship and grow on these pressing issues. So definitely, I want you guys to join the Discord. So today, I want to talk about building wealth. So in the last 2 years or so, for those who've been following me, you know my story on how I got into entrepreneurship, the reason why I launched my podcast, and everything I'm doing now in my personal life with my family. I'm on the road to being a solid entrepreneur. I don't know how many figures I'm gonna make within the next 5 years, but I have some in mind based on where I want to be, and just to be on that road to building wealth. I've started following a massive amount of different speakers, mentors, sponsors, coaches. Most of them I found through social media after the pandemic. And I've been following them, making sure that they're solid individuals worth listening to. I could give you a couple of their names. I follow John Hope Bryant. He was a part of the Bush administration. He, has over 30 years plus in the financial world, finance banker. He's just done so much, globally. He now has a global entity known as Operation Hope, helping people with financial literacy, black or white, green, whoever. He's trying to help people, get into financial literacy, start home ownership, and be on their way to building wealth. Just some other guys, Myron Golden. He's a big guy in the entrepreneurial world. He started so many different challenges on social media. He's worked with Grant Cardone. He's done so many speaking gigs, and he, has so many different programs open to helping people with financial, build their financial future in entrepreneurship and business. Different guys, Stephen Bartlett, and you guys, for those who know me, you know that my platform is faith-based, even though I do, have an explicit tone that I bring. I don't sugarcoat from anything. I've talked about all types of stuff, no filter. So yeah, I have different people. Sam Adiemi, who I follow. Just so many different people when it comes to this journey of financial literacy. And if you check my social media, you'll see all the people. From time to time, I point them out. So yeah, we're gonna get into talking about building wealth. It's crazy. I've been trying to do this episode for the past 2 weeks. I've been juggling it. I've been watching different videos in the news. I've been reading different articles. I've been meditating. I've been processing, doing my own research. Just looking to see what's being said out there, what's going on in the world. And let me tell you something. Right now, I just believe, and I'm gonna, tag him one more time, John Hope Bryant. I just believe what he's saying right now when we're in the third shift, the third economic shift that's going to change the world forever. And right now, the color is green. He says that all the time. Pretty much anytime you're watching this man, he always says that in his videos. He's like, there was a time in the world when the color was black and white, but now the color is green, and it's an equal opportunity for anybody in the world to really step into entrepreneurship, especially if you live in the United States, and to start to build wealth, to change the future for yourself and your family and your loved ones. And so, I just been looking at what's going on, and there's so much. Social media, whether people like it or not, social media is it may not always be the correct source or an accurate source, but it does give you the overview of what people are talking about. So you may not get the exact, nail on the head on certain things, but you get an idea of what's going on in people's minds and hearts. And a lot of people are really talking about entrepreneurship. It's been something that's been talked about for a long time, and it's been something that people have been actively involved in. And in other episodes, I talk about this. How it's been pretty much talked about as early as 2015 on social media. As early as 2015 is when you really start to see a big rise, especially in the millennial, the Gen Z generation, just get into entrepreneurship. We had the wave where social media gave birth to many new celebrities and millionaires and billionaires of all different industries. And the world has just never been the same ever since we've had that boom. And so when it comes into building wealth, I started to notice something. And I am a former world history teacher, but I always still make sure I go back into my notes. I'm always, still researching different times in history. And one of the things that I realize is that when it comes to building wealth, and you decide that you're going to, just build a life where you're financially free, and you're going to be able to put yourself in a situation where you're not struggling, that everything starts from an idea. Everything starts from an idea. And at first, I had it a little bit out of order. I was telling myself, in order to build wealth, you have to have a concept, but subconsciously, I was already referring to the idea. I just was putting the concept first. So now I'm actually correcting myself. You definitely need an idea. But what makes that idea feasible and able for you to create wealth is you have to create a concept, and you have to make that concept workable and mobile in order for you to start to build over time. Wealth is built, over time. It's built when you're sleeping. It is not day to day transactions that determines if you are wealthy. No, that can be hustling, that could be 9 to 5, that could be sole proprietorship, that can be, small business that's not scaling, and you're just getting by, right? So that's not building wealth. Building wealth is when you have a system in place that has pretty much created a proven track record for people to say that they want to be able to partner with you, invest with you, help you grow, help you build. And then as you're meeting different figures, getting in different circles of power, you get access to information that allows you to secure, your financial future for you and your loved ones for a long period of time, even after you're gone. So building wealth begins with an idea. And I had a couple of takes that I was doing with my podcast. I wanted to get the right statement out about this, And I used in one of my takes I used about Walt Disney. Everybody knows about Disney, as far as just the entity that it is today. Everybody knows about Disney World, Disneyland. Everybody knows about everything that's connected to the name Disney. But we, especially this generation, very few people know about Walt Disney, the guy who gave birth to Disney. He never got to see Disney. He never got to see what it is today. As a matter of fact, right after he died is when his idea was taken by individuals and turned into what we see today, right? So it started with an idea. His idea was to build a place where stories can come alive and people can see famous stories come alive, and they can go and ride rides where they see the characters interacting with people. There's plays, there's reenactments, there's food with all the different characters' faces on it, right? For people who go to Disney, you know about Disney dollars and stuff like that. So all of this was a big idea that he had, and he never saw it happen, right? But technically, the wealth that was created from his idea, it lives on. And so the concept was, like I say, the feasible, workable nature of the idea on a day to day basis that will work so much so that even after you die, it continues to work. That's the concept. So, most people today, when you talk about building wealth, first of all, most people feel like it's impossible for them even to do so. Be simply because if you just look at the history of the world, there's been a disconnect in a lot of countries and a lot of families, in a lot of nations in terms of when prosperity, was the everyday life of the people. There's been a large disconnect. If you look at, you can use African Americans, right? We know that we reside or we come from Africa. We know that we were taken from one place, brought to another in order to create a nation, functioning with goods and services, trade, commodities, so on and so forth, right? So that generation of people who were taken from their homeland and brought to a new land, that generation of people, right, they knew prosperity, but their offspring from that point on never knew prosperity. And for how many hundreds of years, never seen it, disconnected, disenfranchised from it. And we come up to 2024, and after so long of not seeing what it looks like to be prosperous, now there are small little pods in different cities or cities itself or regions where you start to see it blooming and blooming again. Did we have points in history? And this is just talking about African Americans, where we saw it start to rebirth. Of course, of course, we started to see that. If you look in history and you read about Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, you read about the Midwest, of course, the North, African Americans who lived in the North, who were able to live prosperous lives, industry, finance, their own Wall Street, banking, agriculture. A lot of people don't know that there were blacks who were pretty much living on the level of the Queen of England. You say that today, they'll tell you that you're trying to be woke or you're trying to cause trouble with critical race theory and all of that stuff. But no, it's the truth, right? And so this was something that we saw that probably definitely not put in the history books. And so now we're in 2024, and we see it, right? Social media gives us access to see it on a consistent basis and to see how it's thriving, how it's booming, and how it's germinating, if you would. And now we see it in what different cultures, right? We see it in the Hispanic culture, right? We see it in different countries overseas where different nations are doing what? They're shifting their focus in order to make sure that their people experience prosperity in all avenues. So when it comes to building wealth, it starts with an idea. But what makes that idea able to have longevity is the feasibility and the workability of that idea, right? And this is a conversation that would take, I mean, hours. Even if you brought the top minds, the head honchos, in those sectors, venture capitalists, banking, finance, entrepreneur, millionaire, billionaire, Forbes lists. If you brought in the top 100, guys and girls, it would just still take a long time to exegete, this realm that has been in existence, from time itself. But the truth of the matter is that building wealth is something that every human being has access to. It just starts with an idea, and then there are tools that you have to assemble. You have to gather those tools, right? I personally believe that part of the concept that allows the idea of building wealth to start to become real and have emotion and have bone and skin and flesh and blood and heartbeat to it is you have to know where you're going, right? You have to know what it is that you want, right? You have to know what it's going to take, and you have to prepare yourself to do so. So most people who want to build wealth, right? Most people who want to build wealth, they want better. So their situation can be a number of things. They just want better than that situation. You can have a person who's dirt poor, who doesn't want to be poor anymore. You could be a person that's just tired of the same mundane. It's not that they don't have a whole lot. They have enough to maintain themselves, but they decide they just want something different. Or you have some that it runs in the family. They come from a family, and the family only knows prosperity and wealth. So their job is to keep it going, right? So it's a number of different viewpoints that a person might be standing in and decide that, hey, I want to build wealth, right? So that's the first thing. And for my podcast and the audience that I want to reach, I want to be able to talk to people who have seen what's going on in the world, the economic shift, the rise of AI, the great exodus that has taken place in many industries in the workforce ever since COVID-19, manifested its face and changed the planet for the rest of eternity, like the rest of time, right? So we have to understand that now we're at a time when things are getting bad, and they're not getting any better. In the last 2 years, it's been recorded in states like Texas, California, Connecticut, Florida, New Jersey, New York, the Carolinas. Like there's been so many ups and downs, roller coasters when it comes to inflation, when it comes to insurance, daycare, when it comes to buying a house and a housing market, when it comes to minimum wage, when it comes to availability of jobs, when it comes to industry, when it comes to all these different things, the changes that have taken place, how expensive it has become. Whether you are married with children, or you're single, or you're in a relationship, you're thinking about getting married, but depending on where you live, it's an arm and a leg to build a life for yourself, and you haven't even started paying for your wedding yet. So we have all of these different things that people have to consider, and it's been said, as early as last year. I would say last year, September, October, a lot of entrepreneurs like Patrick David, a lot of these guys were getting their teams out, getting research, and they were pulling the data, and they were saying the numbers, on their social media platforms. People different, so many different big name figures, giving out this information so that people can prepare themselves. And now it's official. If you get paid $20 an hour, depending on how many hours you work, and depending on your expenses, your bills, your debt, if you have student loans, if you have children, if are married with children, or you're divorced and you're a single parent, whatever the case may be, $20 an hour is officially nothing. That it is not enough. A two-parent household, even with one kid, you have to be making more than 5,000. As a matter of fact, $5,000 a month is no. You have to be making between $6,500 to $11,000 a month, depending on where you live in the United. And I'll just say the United States. Depending on where you live in the United States, your expenses, your debt, and combating that with inflation, and the expenses of things like I say, health insurance, daycare, bills, rent, stuff like that. You have to be making between $6,500 to $11,000 a month, and that's just to barely get by, depending on your situation. If you want to live comfortable, it is now said that between almost 8,000 to 12,000, even in some cases going up to 15, maybe 20,000, it's going to be for people to start living comfortable again. So now the middle class is almost wiped out, and $100,000 a year is not enough anymore. And so we have to start asking questions, right? Now, people have always been taught the basics when you get into financial literacy and things like that. Save. If you get a credit card, only use it on emergencies. Make sure that you pay off your student loans. Make sure that you pay your bills on time. Yada yada yada. But it's 2024. Like that legit is the ABCs of the financial world. Like that's the, if you hear a baby saying dad dad, like that's the level that is in the financial world. It's very, very, very low basic. If you want to turn your life around, you really have to start looking into life insurance. You have to start looking into real estate, home ownership. You have to start looking into investing, trading, right? If you are a person that you think you have a skill that you can leverage on the job market, right? You want to enhance your resume. You have to start looking into taking online courses, right? Courses that you can graduate with a certificate, put on your resume, and get a higher paying job. If you feel like you can make people laugh, if you feel like you have some type of talent, you might want to look into content creation, being a digital creator, an influencer, a blogger, if you like food, a food traveler, and jumping on the YouTube and social media and leveraging those skills with different companies, getting brand deals. If you want to start a business, you want to definitely look into taking, different workshops and going to different conferences, investing in yourself so you can be able to learn how to run a successful business and get into the small business funding, and rubbing shoulders with developers, rubbing shoulders with millionaires who believe in, pouring into people's dreams and ideas, meeting venture capitalists. Like, you really got to start rubbing shoulders with people. You got to create a winning circle. If you have broke friends, you got to tell them, hey, I'll catch you on the flip side, and make it a high and buy situation. You got to get on the ball, right? 2024, we are literally closing out May, going into June, right? So it is officially summer of 2024. And I'm telling you, it is about, building wealth. It is the economic shift has already taken place. I've talked about it in previous podcasts about what's going on nationally. You got the UN, you got BRICS Nation, you got different countries that are abandoning the US dollar. We already have the situation with Ukraine and the war that broke out. We have people that's been talking about what China has been doing. And and like I say, you have other things. You have AI that is wiping out jobs every single day. They just released a list of restaurant franchises that are going to be closing multiple locations, if not closing for good, in the United States, different parts of the United States. So those are jobs that are gone, right? And those locations are going to be replaced with businesses that are going to have AI robots, or they're going to be filled with kiosks, right? So more and more people have to really understand that they have to take into consideration themselves. Here's the thing about building wealth that I really want to get into for a second. Let's just get into it. Let's get into the intellectual side, the emotional side, the soul, the purpose, the destiny, of the matter. We were born to fulfill a purpose, to fulfill something. And I'm not here to say that money is everything. I'm not here to say that we should all of a sudden just make our lives about being wealthy people. No. Remember, it's wealth is an idea, it's a concept. So in this concept of life, right, we should be able to live a life where we are not hindered, halted, delayed, or suppressed because we do not have the tools at hand, the resources, and the funding that is necessary to do what we need to do, or to fulfill God's plan. So if we are in a situation where we cannot do anything in terms of fulfilling what we were here to do, then we're in a sticky situation, right? And like I said, this takes so much to expound, because you have some people that are comfortable with work. You have some people that they believe life is what it is. Whatever life throws you, that's what you deal with. You have some people that believe that there are the good people, that everything happens for them, and the bad people, everything happens to them. Um, it, it, it this is so much to unpack, but like I say, I want to be in context of the mindset. And the truth be told is this, is that nobody, should be limited. Nobody should, especially like, let's say you love somebody, you're in a relationship with a significant partner, or you're a parent, right? Whether you're a single parent or you're married with your spouse and you have children, you don't want to be able to look at your loved ones and say that this is what we have. We're limited. We're stuck. Or it is what it is. You always want to be in a situation where you can help and provide a better way for them, right? And definitely when it comes to your friends, your community, if you attend a place of worship that you are committed to and you're a member to, and so on and so forth, right? You never want to be in a situation where you cannot be a contributor or a lender to help, right? Instead, you're always the borrower. So this is more so what I want to talk to people about, because what's about to happen is we're gonna wake up and things are legit going to be gone. And some people have joked around with the job situation, but a lot of people weren't paying attention to the articles being released on banks that were literally watching large deposits disappear, and nobody was held accountable for it. or people, wealthy venture capitalists, millionaires and billionaires, people who were really had their money in banks, large amounts of accounts were just closed. People were moving their money. With the rise of Bitcoin and, all of that stuff that's happening, cryptocurrency, a lot of people are switching to digital. Literally in the last 6 months, I've been to probably 5 or 6 shops, even including, simple like daycare institutions. And the sign is literally on the door, as of such and such date, we will be a cashless business. We will no longer be accepting cash payments or cash of any kind. And they tell you like the apps that they'll be accepting, or, so on and so forth. I made a comment about the state of education in the United States of America with the issues of violence, bullying, mass shooting, public safety, school safety, enrollment, teacher retention, the great exodus, the great resignation that took place after COVID. And I feel like within 5 years, public education might be eradicated. It might be completely gone. And it would either be homeschool or virtual school that children in America will be using. And if banks are closing and if restaurants are closing, what is that telling you? That's telling you that the economy has shifted, and those who took it for a joke, they will be the ones standing in the lines. The lines to get, to get the scraps, wherever they may be. So we need a concept for those of us who don't want to die, who don't want to be out in the line struggling for a meal, struggling for basic tools and materials, struggling for a few dollars, struggling for a few measly jobs. That's not going to do anything to keep our families or to keep our way of life. We have to have an idea. The millennials and Gen Z, they made it clear that they're not going to struggle like their parents or grandparents. So a lot of these kids, they started companies overnight. E-commerce, drop shipping, social media content creation, the whole nine. And literally the amount of millionaires that have come out of that in the last 5 years have been ridiculous. And I can only imagine in other parts of the world. But for the United States specifically, there are a lot of young people between as young as 13. There's some that are younger than that, but a lot of times they're under the management of their parents. So they technically are a millionaire, but the parents are the face of that until they turn 18. But you have some young people as young as 13. The ones who are 16, those are the ones that get the more visibility. And these people are sitting good, because of what they created. And it can be anything. Like I said, the color is not black and white anymore. The color is green. I've looked on social media, and there's black kids opening up coffee shops, starting clothing brands. They're buying old convention centers and turning them into new places to help people and teach classes and start schools. You have white kids who are starting cybersecurity companies. The color, like I said, is no longer black and white; it's green. People are coming up with ways to make money, to make a better life for themselves, and set themselves up so that they are not swept away, when we really go back into another shutdown or experience a depression or experience a total economic meltdown. There are some people who are said that, we don't know if America will still be a superpower, country in the next decade or so. because of everything that's shifting. So what does that mean? It's on the people, and it's always been the people. The governments have their place, but it's always been the people that determine the future of a nation. They are the ones the government can abuse, the government can misuse, the government can mistreat, the government can do what they want to do. But when the people decide to band together and rise up, they will always be victorious. And so in this time, I really believe that this is what is needed. It is time for the people to take back their opportunity to really make a life for themselves and to really get themselves involved in free enterprise and capitalism, get themselves involved in financial literacy, get themselves involved in making money in their sleep, building wealth, get themselves involved in entrepreneurship, and really see things, turn out differently. Put their money into the communities, put their money into their families, put their money into their kids' future, in a way that long after they're gone, their name will be remembered. And this is what we should be working towards. If you right now you work a 9 to 5, and after you and your spouse or you and your significant other total up what your checks for the month, and you barely have a few $100s that you could put in the savings, I'm sorry, one of y'all gonna have to stay up at night and start taking courses and start learning how to start a business. Or somebody gonna have to take a skill and say, hey, how can we leverage this out on the economic market so that we can bring in another income? Hey, remember that joke you told? It was kind of funny. Let's post it on social media and see how many people laugh. And let's try and go viral. Let's see if we can build And some people may think it's funny or it's a joke, but it's this is where we at. This is where we are in the world. You have to say, let's step out and let's do something. It may be uncomfortable at first, but with a little consistency, elbow grease, and supporting one another, you will see your payout and keep it going. Because right now, some people are stressing out, and I don't think for those people who always talk about money is the reason for the divorce, and money is the reason why a lot of relationships don't last, and yada 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 and stuff like that. We have to understand that, and I don't want to go off on a tangent and say that divorce and say X, Y, and Z about divorce. I've actually talked about that in other episodes, so I don't want to go off on a tangent. But what we have to understand is that sometimes we don't understand that simple communication and the art of cultivation can really save a couple from having to feel like they have to divorce because they don't see eye to eye when it comes to money. There is an art form, and I believe that God has equipped people who decide to get married with the ability to do so. You just have to be patient with one another, and you have to be willing to invest to see the payout. But it is possible that you guys can transform your lives financially by working together and seeing what you can leverage with your skill sets, and seeing what you can create, how you can get your family involved, how you guys can be excited about this, how you guys can learn how to support each other through tough times and really see a difference take place in your life. It's possible for it to take place. You don't have to just say, this is it and I want better, but you're not making enough or I'm not making enough, and we just gonna call it quits. That's very immature, and in some cases it's almost disrespectful to you guys' own intellect that you cannot find ways to make it better. You just felt like it was the best way to go about it was the divorce, and that's just what I'll throw on that. So yeah, building wealth starts with an idea. There's a lot of people that speak very keenly when we talk about ideas. I've heard so many entrepreneurs talk. Either I'm listening to podcasts, I'm watching clips on social media. I'm going to YouTube. I'm listening to lectures and speeches, and it's funny because you have a group that tell you to be careful with your ideas, and then you have another group that tells you that being a person of ideas is great, and you find yourself in the middle, like, how do I go about it? Me personally, this is how I go about it. I always tell people that if you're the person that everybody calls the ideas guy, you're actually one of the richest people in the room. But if you don't learn to stop telling people your ideas, knowing that you're going to give up and find yourself in a vulnerable state where you don't believe in yourself anymore, then you now become the brokest person in the room, right? If your mind is always in an optimistic mode of thinking about something great to create and do, you actually are the richest person because one of those ideas might be the one that hit. Mark Cuban always said, you're going to be wrong 100 times. You just have to be right one time. Right. So this is the mindset that you have to have, and if you're a person that's single, it's great because you don't have a lot of responsibilities. Like if you're married, giving yourself to your spouse and building with them. Or if you have children and giving yourself to your children, making sure that you're providing for them. So if you're single, you don't have these type of responsibilities, then definitely you should be, going hard on this as far as building wealth for yourself. But if you are a person that is married, which marriage is a beautiful thing, and a lot of people don't know this, that God set it up specifically that, married people do get more help and assistance than single people. A lot of people think that, if I stay single, I'm not going to be tied down to anything. But you have to understand that there's a lot of things about a person's singlehood that is liable when it comes to dealing with individuals who, are millionaires, billionaires, venture capitalists, great with finance, and so on and so forth, because you are zeroed in on totally different versus a person that is married. When a person is married, marriage is the birthplace of the first form of wealth building, because automatically when you say that you are going to connect with another person to be together for the rest of your life, you're already birthing the first nest that wealth is necessary to have in order to what? Maintain. Two people who get married, they're just not going to be there and just stand there, right? They are together for a reason, because marriage is an institution that has a divine purpose and has a divine reason, right? It's to be the place where children and procreation take place. And with that comes what? The legacy of a person's name, a family's name. So you have to understand that wealth is necessary so that every generation of that family name is sustained and it can continue to go on, right? So if you don't have the necessary skills, it's almost like God sets it up for you. Like if you look legally, there are a lot of programs, there are a lot of documentation, there are a lot of different tax credits, there are, a lot of different things that exist for a person that is married versus a person that is single, in order for them to what? Have better resources and better sustainability and better opportunities to get into a better financial standpoint, as well as a better financial thrust in the process of building wealth. So we have to know these things and really take into consideration that building wealth is not for the individual that says they want to build wealth. It's always for the person after you, right? And it's impossible to think about you if you are in the midst of a family, or you are the person that is building a family. You have to think about the next person. So like I said, this is what we have to understand when it comes to building wealth. And let me tell you something. Emotionally, what it's going to take is like I said earlier, it depends. Emotionally, when it comes to building wealth, if you're a person that you come from poverty, you come from, from you were a little girl or boy, you never seen nice things, you never seen anybody in your family with money, you never seen the finer things in life, you never got to travel, you guys were never able to, eat at nice places, you guys were never able to have the best beds, the best house, you guys, could never celebrate on the holidays. You guys never had the best clothing. You guys, all the things that are byproducts of a family who, is financially able to provide these things. If you didn't have that, what happens is you have to go through the process of literally um like deprogramming the habits, the traditions, the fake wisdom, the fables, the human wisdom, um, all these different things that were passed down by every parent, great grandparent, every household before you within your family bloodline. You have to deprogram from all of that stuff, right? Because you're trying to escape the matrix. You're trying to escape this world or this reality where you're born, you work, and you die, right? Or you're born, you work, you take care of people, you provide for them, you break your body, there's nothing left for you, and then you die, right? So you have to go through a period of deprogramming, and the ideas that come to your mind in that process, all of them have 100% potential. But as you start to develop a concept based on the knowledge that you're getting, based on the people you're connecting with, and based on the availability of resources that you gain access to, then you start to realize which one will work, or you start to discern if something won't work now, it'll work later, and things like that. So, like I said, emotionally, in order to build wealth, you have to take that time and evaluate. You have to take that time and evaluate where you are, where your family comes from, and where you want to take your family name, where you want to take your bloodline. It's a big conversation, and just like during COVID, a lot of people had to face, being at home, being with their families, and dealing with the elephants in the room that were just hard to deal with. This is also something that is just as serious, if not more serious, that a lot of households in America are going to have to talk about. You're going to have to face it, and it's not going to be easy in the process of having to deprogram, okay, from what you previously have known. The poverty mindset is very dangerous. If you're a person that your family's very traditional, usually people who like born in the Caribbean, or you have some people that you're from overseas, you're from a third world country, but your family has held on to the traditions of your country, even while living in America, right? These are the things you have to fight against. Like, I have a Caribbean connection. My mother was Jamaican, my father was American. And let me tell you something. Growing up, Trinidadians, Haitians, Turks, Caicos, Bahamas, Belize, you name it. I've so many different people I grew up with from different, Caribbean countries and of course South American countries, and we all had the same mindset. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. You know, we share everything, and when we have it, we have it. When we don't got it, we don't got it, and that's it. But it's like, how can a family build wealth with that mindset? And people don't know how to take care of things, and people are struggling so much that they'll do anything for a dollar. They'll even put their family in harm's way just for money. These are habits, tendencies, behaviors that we cannot have if we're talking about building wealth. And so emotionally, it takes a lot, because if you don't come from a wealthy family, like they say, a wealthy family must come from you. So you have to be the person that defines everything, and you need the grace of God in order to do so. You have to have the grace of God, to have the temperament to define what it is that the family needs and what it's going to take in order to build wealth and to secure a future that will live on even past, your final days. It is not easy, and you're going to be combated, and people are not going to believe in you, and people are not going to want to help and support you up until they start to see, things looking promising. It takes a lot, but you cannot give up. You cannot give up. You cannot give up. And when you get the ball rolling, in your road to building wealth, whoever's listening out there, once you get the ball rolling, whatever you decide that you're gonna do, if you're gonna start a business, if you're gonna start a nonprofit, if you're gonna, whatever you're gonna do in order to make a better life for yourself, in order to build wealth, like I said, once you get the ball rolling, maintain that concept. If you look at all the big time millionaire, billionaire entrepreneurs, right? Some of them, they bought a house in the 80s. They learned the process. They say, you know what? I want to buy X amount of houses every year, or I'm looking for this commercial building, and I want to do X, Y, and Z with it. And they create a mantra, they create a moniker, they create something that goes behind why they do, and they execute this pattern every single time, every single year, right? This now becomes your concept, right? There's some people that they have a system they create, and once they've tested out that system, they now filter it with real people in real time with real money, and once it becomes successful, like I say, they duplicate it, copy and paste, or repeat it. This is what you want to get to a place that you're doing. And I've been that person that, when I listen to these type of conversations, I'm like, man, I want the details. Who do I talk to? What paperwork I'm signing? What stuff I need to save? Like, what is it? What's the details, right? There's a famous line that every great deal has always been about the details. So I can tell you this. I can tell you this, that all of those things come along the way every time you make that courageous step to do the little things. So, prime example, if you go take a financial literacy course, let's say it takes you 6 to 9 months, you pass it, and then, you say, okay, let me implement the steps. You open up accounts. Some of it may involve loans, some of it may not involve loans, some of it may involve your own money. Whatever the case may be, you do the process, and everything comes out exactly like you learned, right? And over time, you start to say, okay, I like how this works. I'm gonna change how that works, and then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. So now you've developed your concept from the idea that, oh, I'm going to take this financial literacy course. And that's just how it happens, right? And I want to caution people, because this is a mistake I made. I confused people's insiders, the tricks that were shown to them, or the cheat codes that just fell in their lap in their process of building wealth. I used to think that was it. That was the thing that I needed to hear, right? So that I know what I'm doing is correct and worthwhile. And I realize you got to be careful. You always want to be able to discern the difference between the idea when you're building wealth and the concept. There's some people that, based off of their concept, it's like God sends them people that allows their concept to grow, and that people express his favor, and then boom, that person got what they got. So prime example, for those people out there who probably may have gone to a business conference or a business seminar, and you're listening to the speaker talk, and the speaker might tell you something with an application, or something with a real estate deal, or something with a business, and they're telling you, and it's like, yo, like, these cheat codes are crazy. Like, I did these loopholes, and it's like, wait a minute, hold on, that's not the financial literacy. The favor that was shown to them in this particular situation, or the information that was shared to them that they didn't know about when they were trying out something, right? That's the favor that was shown to them, right? You might try to go do that exact same step in your city, in your state, and the people looking at you like, no, or please get out of here, or we'll call the police. Not to say that what the person did was wrong, but like I said, it was the favor shown to them, right? That if it was anybody else, they wouldn't have gotten that information or gotten that breakthrough. So you got to know the difference when you're building wealth. You got to know when you're dealing with the idea and when you're dealing with the concept. I would caution people, if you go on social media, you're listening to these people, have that mindset, right? Listen to when they're sharing, and it's like, if it sounds like something that was told to them that they didn't know about, and it worked for their particular situation, that was their situation. Don't take that and try to do that in your situation, because based upon where you live and based upon yada, 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 it may not work. And you don't want to be able to be discouraged because you're trying to repeat what somebody else did, and it puts you in a bad situation. Now you have bitterness towards that person. So we want to be mature here, and we want to be wise. And in the process of building wealth, we want to actually sit down and say, okay, let's study banking. Banking itself is a big, 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 big world, right? So while you are building wealth and you're doing the little stuff, read about banking, then read about different industries, and read about contracts, read about tax codes, read about all these different things. Look for groups, on social media of qualified, certified people who help with major companies or in their own businesses do that. Have sessions with them, have meetings with them, have lunch with them, talk with them, set up a Zoom call, and be able to get an idea of what it is that is considered favor, and what's considered facts, knowledge, and key steps you need to do, right? Whenever you are in the process of building wealth, and you may have things going on, whether, like I said, it's business, nonprofits, trust, foundation, all these different things that you're doing, that you're putting together in your process of building wealth. So, like I said, there's so much to unpack, and it's like there's so many different avenues of this conversation that I would just love to continue talking about. So I want to give you guys the opportunity, when you're done watching this episode, please join my Discord. I'm going to have the link in the description so we can continue talking about this. And I want you guys to be able to share the episode. I'm pretty sure that somebody in the world is talking about building wealth, generational wealth, in order to have a better life for themselves, their loved ones, and even after they're gone, the legacy can continue. So definitely, I want you to share this podcast episode. Let me know what you think. And, let's continue to grow in fellowship together. Please follow me on all social media platforms. Subscribe to both of my YouTube channels. And stay tuned for the next episode. This is Darian Jones, Honor Kings and Sons TV podcast. You guys take care and be easy.